It is Saturday the 13th of May, doing an crypto update for the weekend. So far, it's been quite a difficult week for Bitcoin, down 10%, but we are at some really interesting levels. Let's start with a big picture view here of Bitcoin. And you can see that we have pulled back to the weekly 200 moving average. And the weekly 200 moving average was resistance for 2 weeks running in February before we saw a bigger pullback. It is quite a good level previously. When we go back in time and we go back to 2019 or 2020, the 200-week moving average has previously been a really big deal for Bitcoin. So getting above it and coming back and back testing it is quite interesting. We had been looking for 25,000 as a potential support, which is a little bit underneath where this 200 moving average is, and we haven't quite got there. The reason we were looking for 25,000 is it would make a really nice, simple kind of measured move level. If I measure from this high to low and project it from here, I think actually this was the lower one. You can see that we're almost at this equal measured move level. Very, very close to it. If I measure from up here, we've actually tagged it. So that combination of a equal measured move level, a 200-week moving average, and the other thing is, let's talk about where we are with this head and shoulders pattern. Because sometimes, I've said before, when you have a sloping neckline on a head and shoulders pattern, it's really important that you break the horizontal levels. So if we go back and we look at the bottom of this wave 4 here, you can see potentially this is also the bottom of the wave 4. So we do have a combination of really quite interesting bounce support levels for Bitcoin. One of the reasons why I think a lot of people are looking lower is if I put the fibs on from low to high, this 236 fib at 27,370 was really cool support, and we haven't reached the 38.2. So, and we also this week saw that there was a big seller out there. I don't know if it was one or if it was several, but certainly there was some selling. Is that all tied to do with the PEPE meme coin being sold and people converting, and selling, getting out? I'm not sure, but clearly we did see some tough selling this week. And if we look at our weekly candle, this is a pretty tough weekly candle after those sideways moves. So I'm not going to rule out that this isn't a bottom. So when I am looking for it to be a bottom or a bigger bounce, I look for a bullish cross of lower time frame moving averages. And lo and behold, that's exactly what we've got here on the hourly. So we've had what potentially could be 5 waves up. If we look at it on a 15-minute, you can see what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so a 3-wave pullback to these hourly and 15-minute moving averages would set us up for another leg higher here in Bitcoin. So I do think we could see a pretty good bounce. And if we are going to bounce from this equal measured move level, it will be a bullish reversal if we close above 27,500. That's going to be the resistance. Are we likely to get back above it first time? Probably not, looking at the way these sellers were. I think we could get up here and we could see quite a big pullback, maybe a double bottom. Maybe we fail there. But if you're looking for some short-term levels, I think at least to start the week after a 3-wave corrective pullback here, that we have quite an interesting long setup. Now, if we apply the rule about the bottom of wave 4 and this hourly 50, then we shouldn't see too big of a pullback here, should we? But because it's a wave 1, it might come back 50%, it might come back a little bit lower. But it's looking pretty good. So 3-wave correction, high Kanashion, looking for this one to turn up again, and we'll see another leg higher. And that would be a false breakdown. It would not be the head and shoulders pattern we were looking for. And as I said before, when head and shoulders patterns fail, it's usually because they're an ABC. So back above 27,000 500 again would confirm that this is not a head and shoulders pattern, it's just an ABC pullback. Now, if we continue lower, if we don't hold this wave 4, then this bigger A123 rally is finished, and we do risk continuing down to potentially 20,000. At least, 50% of this rally would be 23,500 area and the 200-day moving average. We have on the bigger picture here on the daily got a bearish cross of our daily moving averages, and so potentially when we rally back to this resistance, support and resistance level, we could just continue lower, and so that is something to watch out for. But for short term, if you wanted to have a nibble, a 3-wave pullback here and a go at that rally, rallying up back to 27,000 to see if we could regain it, would be a really good look. Okay, but for me on the weekly equal measured move back to the weekly 200, potentially we could be done with this pullback here. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's take a look and see if we've got any kind of bullish hope for ETH. When I look at ETH, this is ETH dollar. Let's start again with the weekly in ETH dollar. And you can see we've had a pretty sharp pullback. It does look a bit like a head and shoulders pattern, doesn't it? But how far have we come back? If I measure this whole swing like this, potentially this is a 38.2 fib here. If I put the whole swing on, we have lost. I like this better because of the price reaction at this 236 fib. So for me, I'm going to say, we really need to regain that 236 fib if this correction is over on this weekly chart in ETH. Otherwise, the support is lower. It's 1660 around these previous highs and these previous lows, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 1700. So no bullish reversal yet, but when I look at this, it looks to me like we've had a drop, a classic 5 waves drop, 1, 2, 3 rally, and we're in the next swing lower. But we have stopped. Let's take this ABC channel away. We did stop at these previous lows. So potentially this is a swing failure pattern. So we can now say clearly that we have recovered and we are going back up again if we close above 1844. And otherwise, if we break these previous lows and close underneath them and they come in at 1786, a daily close under there, we are likely to continue lower. Look for the equal measured move in ETH. And you can see we're sideways at this 61.8 level, aren't we? And the equal measured move and the 38.2 fib level line up at the same price, 1659. So that's going to be our ideal buy if we continue lower in ETH. So above 1844, we're going up again. Otherwise, look for this to continue lower, and we're looking for 1659 next. Now, there were a couple of altcoins that we looked at on yesterday for potential to bounce. One of them was PEPE. So if we look at PEPE here on the daily chart, or on the 4-hour probably, because it's not been around very long, what we were looking for was a bounce from this 786 fib would be confirmed if we got above and held above this 61.8 level. On the daily, you can see, unfortunately, although we've been above it today, we have not. We really do need to close above it. Otherwise, we are likely to see continue, still going lower, still not the bullish reversal we're looking for. It looks really good on the 4-hour, doesn't it? Looks very tempting. When I was looking at this, I was thinking, gosh, I'd really like to see us hold this level on this pullback. One thing I will say, I'm not terribly bearish, because to me this looks like 5 waves up. So in PEPE, so a 3-wave pullback in PEPE would be perfect, wouldn't it? Potentially, though, it could come back to the bottom of this wave 4, and potentially that would give us a little bit of a bottoming head and shoulders pattern here in PEPE. So back underneath that 61.8 level on the daily, this is not the bullish reversal we're looking for, but with 5 waves up, I am looking for a nice 3 wave back to these moving averages. We've got a bullish cross of our hourly moving averages. I'm going to put my Heikin-Ashi on, and I'm going to watch for this to find support and turn up green again. I think that that would give us a pretty nice counter trend buy. Please don't go in massive leverage until this confirms a bottom. But if you wanted to put your toe in to see if we could have a swing back higher again, I think it's got a really good look. Okay, let's look at some others that were quite interesting. One of them was stacks, wasn't it? Clearly no bottom yet on the daily in this one, sideways at the lows, got a little bit further to fall, so nothing going on with that one. Let's take a look at a new coin called Sui. So Sui is going to potentially be a Solana killer. It's got a lot of attention because of the people behind it. There are 5 guys behind it who used to work for Facebook on their coin, and of course they got shut down. Just not shut down, but really it failed. The project failed because of regulatory problems. They just had so much problem with regulation. So these are really credible people. There's also been tweeting about it, and Jason's son tried to buy a load at Binance. They had a special offer. You can it's quite an interesting project anyway. So let's take a look at the chart. First off, I'm going to start with an hourly chart. So this had a really big spike up, and then it had a swing lower, a 3-wave rally, and another swing lower. What's quite interesting about this swing lower here is if I measure this spike lower, so we can look at it on a 15-minute even. If I put my fibs on the projection, measure from this first swing lower and then project the next swing from the bounce, you can see that we made a perfect double bottom at this 61.8 level here, or a typical crypto swing bottom. So that's quite interesting to me, because on a daily I would like to see 1.01. It's also then, you know, it lines up with that big round number 1, which is quite a big psychological thing in any chart, really. Big round number 1. So big round number 1 is key support and a 61.8 level. It would mean that this pullback is a 3-wave ABC, and this one finished with 5 waves. And if we break underneath it and it becomes resistance, the next support, the next place that I would be looking to buy would be an equal measured move level at 0.715. So those are the 2 levels I'm watching in Sui. For now, though, it looks like potentially, again, another one. On the 15-minute here, let's put some Heikin-Ashi on. It looks to me like we've done 5 waves up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a 3-wave pullback, maybe to the bottom of this wave 4, maybe to this 15-minute 200 moving average, which of course is our hourly 50, or maybe, you know, it's a wave 1. Maybe 50% of this swing would be a really good place. 3 waves back to there would be a really nice place to look to get long again. And that 50% retrace is also that hourly 50 moving average, and that's at 1.07. So I would like to see that, though, as kind of clear 3 waves here, but that's the first level I'm looking for. If we go a bit beyond that and we do a bigger, you know, 3 waves, we might come back to the 61.8, which is 1.06. So 1.06 or 1.07, somewhere in that zone, I think, would be a good place to see if we get a bullish buy setup here, a nice hourly trigger here with this bullish cross of the hourly moving averages. Now when you do that, you're always looking obviously for the hourly 200, and then you go from there, and then we would look for these highs next at 1.24. So we'd be looking for basically 1.18 and then 1.24, and above 1.24 we're probably on our way up again, looking pretty good. So yeah, SUI is an interesting project, and that's what I'm looking for in that one. So good luck. I'm just going to actually have a look at Blur. I forgot to look at Blur. My apologies. Let's take a look at where we are with Blur. Now, this one potentially has made a very nice double bottom. This is a Blur dollar Coinbase chart. We retested the lows that we made in March, and potentially this is a double bottom then. If we can rally from here. The problem is, you know, fibs are like a staircase. When you get underneath a level, it becomes resistance and so on. And so this 886 level, which was previously support and resistance at 0.489 on the daily, is the problem, that we don't seem to be able to close and hold above it, which would confirm the reversal. So still in a downtrend unless we can close above that, and still in a sideways range. I'm going to say pretty neutral. When I look at the RSI, you know, I'd much rather be buying this than selling this all the way down here, and it looks like, you know, we're trying to make a base, but this is a pretty nasty downtrend. And yeah, that's really just what we need to see. 0.4897. I don't know what it's going to do here. It looks, we could, you know, retest these lows again. When you're in a sideways range, you're in a sideways range and you're stuck. Not much we can do. Need to wait. So if I look under the hood, you know, we could say this is 5 ways up, couldn't we? I know this wave 4 came all the way back down underneath wave 1, but in a wave 1, which this would be, and a leading diagonal, it does that choppy overlapping thing. So, yeah, potentially. We've done a 5 waves up. This is 3 waves back. We're sitting at the hourly 50 moving average. If we put our fibs on from lows to highs, oh, we're sitting at that perfect 50% retrace as well. So potentially, yes, if we turned up from here, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to buy it. Now, your first place, obviously, first place you're going to look is this really important 886 level, top of the sideways daily range. That's our first, that would be the first place for our target, 0.4897, and obviously above 0.4897 we're going to look for a bigger swing back to these highs, and then we're going to see if we can flip the bigger trend. So, you know, here as I look at this on the hourly tonight, it's not a terrible place for it to attempt to have a go. Let's see if it can. Obviously back below the 50%, back underneath this hourly 50 moving average, we go lower. These moving averages, you know, and they're not really any kind of predictor at the moment when they're completely flat and going sideways. Unfortunately, it just means it's a sideways range. So that's where we are with Blur. Okay, good luck. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to look at.